Welcome to the Appalachian Heritage Woodshop, woodworking with an Appalachian flair.
This is Jerill with the Appalachian Heritage Woodshop. When I teach woodworking, I try to expose the student to all of the different methods of performing a specific woodworking task. And sharpening is a good example. There are many different methods of sharpening, and I prefer to expose the students to all the different methods and let them decide which method they prefer based on their skill, their knowledge, their budget, their type of woodworking, etc. Well, there's always been one type of sharpening that I've not been able to teach, and that is the Tormek system. And the reason is obvious: cost. So I've been looking for a used Tormek for quite a while. They really hold their value. It's hard to find a good Tormek system in good condition at a reasonable price. So my goal was to find a T8 at about 50% the price of a new system. Well, recently a woodworker in my area passed away. His family was selling the tools, and the individual had a T2000, and it was in visual good shape. So I did a little bit of research and found out that I can very easily upgrade the T2000 to the equivalent of a T8 with just a few minor improvements to it. So that's what I thought I would show you today. So let's start with the T2000 that I purchased. Now, if you're going to upgrade one, there's a couple different things you need to be aware of. One of the T2000 did not have this holder on the front. I really highly recommend you get the one with the holder on the front. That way, it will be the equivalent of a T8 when you're finished. So the first thing I noticed when I looked at this was the knob on this end, which is plastic, was broken. So rather than buy a plastic knob, what I did was just removed. It had a brass insert in the plastic knob. I removed the brass insert and turned the knob on the lathe, and it works great. So that's one thing I did which didn't cost anything. And of course that was just using some scrap hard maple. The other thing I wanted to show you was the tool rest here. This is the older one, which you have to manually move up and down, and it's very difficult to move at a small amount. So I've got an upgrade on that, which is right here. Slips into there. And what I like about this one, it's got the adjustable micro adjusting nut right here, and that works great. So for now I'm going to take that off and set that aside. So what I want to do is show you, of course this had all the leather stropping, which I wanted. That's a nice plus, and all of that is in good shape. But here's what I wanted to show you. The drive wheel is an older style drive wheel, and it is plastic. And they have since upgraded to an aluminum wheel. The plastic over time cracks. So the aluminum wheel will upgrade this, and of course this one is cracked. So let me get a wrench and I'll take that off and put the aluminum drive wheel on it. This is the auxiliary shaft, which holds the leather honing stropping devices on there. And there's the wheel. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a radial crack right around through here. Because these were plastic, they didn't last very long. And Tormek, being the company that they are, they're constantly improving their product. Any good company will continually improve their product, and that's what Tormek has done with this aluminum wheel. Before I put this on there, I wanted to show you the wheel that's over here, the grinding wheel. It is the standard SG250, and when I got it, it was dished out pretty bad. So I went ahead and squared it off. It's got a nice flat surface, but I did notice that it has a tendency to wobble. The previous owner, as you can see, was using the side of the wheel. So I believe the shaft is bent, so I'm going to replace the shaft, and that's fairly easily done. Okay, now take the nut off, washer, and there's the wheel. You can see there's quite a bit of corrosion and rust in here, and that's one of the reasons they switched to another shaft. They went with a stainless steel shaft, and I suspect this one is bent. So there's the old shaft, and you can see a lot of the corrosion. Fortunately, I managed to get it off of the wheel. Usually the wheel is stuck on there, but I got it off. So I want my new shaft, which is here. And I've also got some new bushings. Got to make sure and line up the little indentation with the recess there. And it should just pop right back in there. Now this side will be the same way. I don't know what I'd do without a pocket knife. Okay, now the new bushing again just gets pressed in. Make sure you line up the little tit with the indentation. And that goes in. Okay, now I've got the new shaft in there. You can see it just slides right through. And now I've got a new wheel put on. It is identical to the other wheel. It's just new. This one also had a real small crack in it. Okay, I've got the grinding stone on there. Had a little bit of trouble with this locking pin, but I got it in. And now the new drive wheel, it has an indentation to line up with the locking pin. So I got to make sure that that goes on there right, and that the locking pin lines up on there right like that. Okay, now I'm ready to put the leather honing system back on. And the largest honing wheel has some indentation, some little tits sticking out, and they need to go into the recessed holes on the drive wheel. There. Now I felt it and I heard it drop in right there. Now I'm ready to put the auxiliary shaft on it. And now my medium-sized honing wheel. And then my small honing wheel. And then the knob that I turned. Now, let me see how that works. I need to plug it in. I always have it unplugged when I'm working on it. There you go. Now, I did splurge and get a couple of extra parts that I wanted. And that was this rotating table. And it just sets on it. Which allows you to rotate it 180 degrees, depending on whether you're wanting to use the honing system or the grinding system. And put this back on it. Now let me get the water tray. So there we go. Tormek T2000 that has been upgraded to a T8. So anytime you're considering purchasing tools, whether it's a hand tool or a machinery, think about purchasing something old and upgrading it. This is what I like to do, and this will serve my purposes here in the shop. This is Jerill Vance reminding you, be proud of your Appalachian heritage.